We'll get back into some of the lighter-hearted stuff today by laughing together at one Kamala Harris. The former DEI vice president is on a book tour, and it has been hilarious thus far. She's released her book. Kamala Harris released a book. I issued a congratulations on social media saying, Kamala Harris, today, congratulations on your book release. That is today. That is a book written by Kamala Harris that releases today, which is her book, the release day of the book that Kamala Harris wrote, happening today, the day it is released. I congratulated the former DEI vice president on that, and I'm looking forward to never reading her book, although it's hard to avoid because there's some things in it that are so funny that it's like impossible to not want to read more of it. I don't know if that was intentional. Like, I don't think that's how you want to promote your book, but I don't know. It seemed like the movie The Room. If you're unfamiliar with the movie The Room, this movie was so bad that everyone saw it. And maybe this is their plan of attack with Kamala Harris' book. Everything is so awful. The tour is such a train wreck that people like me are actually kind of interested, not in reading because we want to know what's going on in Kamala's head, but we want to be entertained and laugh because it's hilarious. One of the parts that I thought was so funny. I'm going to play a rather long clip, but this is Kamala doing her first interview post the election with Rachel Maddow. And Rachel Maddow asks, hey, in the book, you said that you didn't pick Pete Buttigieg because he's gay. Why? And then, I kid you not, and this is why I want to play the whole clip. Kamala says, well, that's not what I did. And then explains that's exactly what she did. Because again, she's terrible at politics and not a good public speaker. My wife watched this clip too and was like, how can someone possibly be this bad? Watch the clip and we'll discuss.
If his reaction to that, since this part of the book has come out, if you've had any reflection on that, or I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for President of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for President of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk.
Well, hey, it's kind of disturbing that you didn't pick Pete Buttigieg because he's gay. No. I did not pick him because he was gay. I just didn't pick him because he was gay. That's effectively what Kamala Harris said. And to top it all off, what's even worse is this is the guy that she picked. Look, I have friends. There's a guy that I know. I wouldn't necessarily call him a friend, but very, very trusted voice in the conservative movement who happens to be gay, that has said Pete Buttigieg is lying about being gay. It's part of his tactful approach to the White House. Like, hey, look, the presidency is going to be won by somebody who checks all the boxes. And right now, for libs, being gay is one of the boxes. I don't know that to be true. I'm just saying that has been said, that Pete Buttigieg isn't actually gay. And apparently Tim Walz is, so Pete Buttigieg might be pretending to be straight or might be pretending to be gay. Tim Walz is clearly pretending to be straight. What straight man walks like that? I guess I don't quite understand the rationale. Again, here. I'm sorry, I'm cracking myself up. This is just too funny. We didn't pick him because he's gay, but I didn't do that. But I also did do that, and the guy I did pick walks like this. So I don't know. Maybe you thought you were going to get the gay vote by picking the straight guy who's pretending to be straight, but actually, that's for the other team. Who knows? also on the Kamala tour. And I thought this is actually an interesting thing to watch. She's been doing a bunch of events. Now, obviously, conservatives do events, I think, much more frequently at a much greater scale. But libs are starting to see that there's a benefit to that, so they're doing the same thing. Remember when Michelle Obama did like an arena tour on her book? I wasn't entirely sure why she did that, but she did, and people went for some reason. Well, Kamala's doing the same thing. She's doing a tour on her book. But like all lib events, it is devolving into destruction when pro-Hamas terrorist protesters say, we're mad about things. Watch that exchange that happened, I think, at Kamala's first live event, and look at how she handled it. Check this out.
About how and why you are saying what you are saying now and how I felt about it. You're not letting me talk. You know what? I respect your right to speak. You're not letting me Wait. Let's bring it. Hey. Let's bring the temperature down. Let's bring the temperature down. Unlike the current president of the United States.
Bunch of freaking sheep they are there. Just unlike the current president. Hooray! She said something bad about the current president. Holy cow! Get a thought for yourself. But I think the most important thing that I wanted to point out there is you've got a heckler who disagrees with what Kamala Harris is saying. On the left, the thing that they try and do is say, well, I need to be able to talk. You're not letting me talk. And then they'll say something like, and I hate Donald Trump, and everyone will cheer, and they'll try to get out of the situation that way. On the right, something that Charlie would have done is walked a microphone out to that person and handed it to him, said, talk. What do you want to say? Now, obviously, there's a time and a place to do that, but you never see Kamala Harris or any libs doing that sort of stuff. There were no Q&As there, and if there are ever any Q&As, they're carefully screened. Hey, we don't want you to ask a question that might be too difficult for our DEI former vice president to be able to answer, which means that any question that involves words would be really, really tough, especially if she's a couple drinks in. But the bottom line here is, this is not how conservatives do things. When we do college events, somebody who disagrees with you, yeah, heckling is not cool, but there is an opportunity to give the microphone to that person. That does not exist on the other side of the political fence. Kamala Harris, wasn't going to allow that person to talk and actually answer their question, whereas in conservative events, while there is a time and place for actual remarks and Q&A, there always is a Q&A, and they're always willing to answer questions, unlike the libs. But speaking about the libs, we teased earlier that Kamala Harris has a protege. I, for one, am actually stoked about this. This is very, very exciting, partly because it's going to be better for the conservative movement. Go ahead and pull up that photo there. Here it is, Jasmine Crockett. Apparently and allegedly is Kamala Harris's protege, her heir apparent to the, I don't know, whatever power that Kamala Harris had. Maybe she'll run for president, in which case I would be thrilled. Jasmine Crockett, if you don't know, is the loudmouth congresswoman from Texas who, for some reason, I don't know, somehow picked up an Ebonics accent. I don't know where that came from, but if you watch clips where we were going to play it, but we feel like we had a bunch of stuff to cover and we couldn't bring all of them in. If you play clips from her in the past, she talks very politely, very like an educated person, and has devolved somehow into speaking with words that don't exist in the English lexicon or the dictionary in any way. But this is the type of person that Kamala Harris is now putting all of her eggs in the basket. She said, I think you're a very talented person, and invited Jasmine Crockett over to her house to, again, groom her to be the next leader of the libs in this country. Go ahead and play clip 7 to, I guess, get a look into the next leader and how she views herself and Kamala Harris as in relation to the current administration. Watch this.
Kamala Harris, light years ahead of Donald Trump as it relates to qualifications, as it relates to her overall resume, and as it relates to the fact that she was a lot younger. Everybody said that they wanted to get rid of Joe Biden because he was too old. Then you had a younger, qualified, non-felon candidate And somehow the people still chose the old white man.
I am so pro this. I am so pro that lady taking the mantle and running with it. We will win every race imaginable. If she runs for president, we will win 48 states. Probably not California or New York because they've lost their minds. But if you think that being more qualified as well, she's black, she's a woman, she's not a felon for felonies that we made up, and she's younger. Those are the 4 qualifications that Kamala Harris has. I don't know why people didn't vote for her instead of President Trump. Yeah, because none of those things matter. We don't care about the felony that you made up. We don't care that, yes, he's older. By the way, do they think that we didn't like President Biden because he was old? No, he happened to be old. What we didn't like is the fact that he couldn't think. He had dementia, which is a horrible thing to have happen to anybody. Nobody wants that or wishes upon that. But you also shouldn't be the freaking president of the United States. We didn't care that he was old. We cared that he couldn't think anymore. So being younger is not necessarily a qualification. And she didn't say it, but she definitely meant it. Being black or being a woman, I don't care. Nobody cares. If Winsome Sears is not that I need to to actually make a case against this ridiculous argument, but Winsome Sears, who is a conservative, an American, and a patriot, and also happens to be a black woman, I will vote for her over any white male lib who wants to murder babies and have an open border any day of the week. So to pretend that actually matters is ridiculous. And I approve of Jasmine Crockett taking the mantle and running with it because, like I said, we will never lose another election.